Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Happiness Aid for your Friday evening elevation. My name is Robbie Figg, General Manager of Happiness Co and platform host here at Happiness Aid. Joining me today, a very good friend of mine and fully fledged author, Matthew Bruce. Welcome, Matthew.
Thank you, Robbie.
You're
Thanks
welcome,
for having
mate.
me. And
I said you're welcome before you even thanked me, but in advance.
Thank you, and a big welcome to everyone that's on the Happiness Co page, the Live Aid, Thriving with PTSD, and then my personal page as well too. So, Mum, if you're watching, hello.
Hi, Mrs. Bruce.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hi, Mrs. Bruce. Now, this is a massive day for you. It's to say there's been a big build-up would be an understatement. This is the book, Warriors War, Healing the Battle with Trauma and PTSD. First of all, I'm so bloody proud of you, man. Having met you in a workshop at your old place of work, and to see where you are now with a book and a course and a whole bunch of content for people to consume to help their life. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty proud, Robbie. Obviously, I was on page 73 of the paper today with the opinion piece. Had a
in the West, get it today.
An old army photo and a picture of Ruth and I in Bali, and yeah, it was really amazing to just be really proud of everything that I'd written and just be proud of where I'm at. I know that it's been a long journey to get here. You know, I had a lot of toxic behaviours. I've had a lot of mistakes, and some of them not even too far ago. Like recently in COVID, been through like a little bit of a battle with my mental health again, and just really just knowing that I can always just make healthy choices and I can always just be this version of myself. So yeah, I'm really happy and proud.
Man, I think seeing you through COVID, for example, and what you mentioned was obviously a bit of anger and dealing with a few things. Just the ability to be able to look back on that retrospectively, just for those that are listening, what were the tools you used? And we'll go back and talk about this in a second, but I think it's really important. What are the kinds of tools that you use now when you do feel that kind of anger and those moments?
Yeah, so this is what the Happiness Co message is all about, is that green, yellow, red. And we talk about having the tools when we're in the green, so when we actually do slide down to the yellow, we can come back up and come back to the red. And just to touch a little bit further, like before COVID, I moved back into my house where I had all of my PTSD symptoms.
Gotcha.
So all of my triggers, all of my stimulation, all of those things were in this unit that I moved back into. And then COVID come as well too. So I had this like old stimuli and COVID, and yeah, you're 100% correct. It was those tools, and it was probably asking for help. Like I had a good friend who was a yoga teacher, and you know, I knew I was starting to slip. I knew I was in the yellow. I knew that I was triggered, and I knew these things were going on for myself. And I reached out for help and said, mate, can you hold me accountable, and I'll come to your house every day and I'll do yoga every day for 2 weeks. And I was like, not in a good way when I went there. I was kind of triggering from some of my old triggers. And yeah, I just really asked for help and showed up for myself and just did yoga. I still kept my meditation practice. I still try to eat healthy and just use all of the tools to pull myself out of the yellow and get back into the green.
Incredible, man.
Yeah.
And that's where we are now. Let's rewind a little bit. What brought you to the point where you knew that you had PTSD?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think a lot of people that are in non-combat roles don't think that they're worthy of PTSD. So I was a telecommunications engineer technician, and you know, in Afghanistan I was rocketed 270 times. You know, I worked with the SAS and watched people be decapitated. I worked my butt off in the army for 7 or 8 years straight, with pretty much without a break for 9 months of the year, every year. And then I thought I wasn't worthy of having the label of PTSD because I was non-combat role.
Yeah.
And we know from the statistics in Beyond Blue now that like 12% of Australians around the country are actually having PTSD.
It's a huge number.
That's 3.5 million people, and you know, 2/3 of them won't actually be diagnosed. So at one point, I was one of those people.
Two-thirds of the 12% won't be diagnosed.
2/3, yeah. So you know, I was one of those people who wasn't diagnosed, who didn't think I was worthy of that PTSD label, and then eventually, you know, I knew that I had to go seek help, and basically after speaking to another veteran, and that combat corps veteran said to me, mate, like, look at your circumstances, reflect back at the last 2 or 3 years of your life, you're worthy of receiving that assistance. And it was kind of in that acknowledgement from a brother, in that acknowledgement of him saying that I was worthy, I was like, yeah, you're right, actually, I need to go ask for help.
All stemming from, vulnerability.
Yeah.
Is that part of your toolkit every single day now? You know, being open and honest and...
Yeah, absolutely. I think, vulnerability is a superpower. And, we've got some really great examples with Lockie and Julian.
Yep.
Something I've definitely had to grow into as I've grown on this journey. But it's really amazing to see amazing examples like Lockie and Julian in the Happiness Co team that allows me to step up and be that vulnerable person. Yeah.
And you speak of doing tours and going overseas, and you mentioned seeing things that you thought you'd never see, I suppose, or at least seeing things that any regular civilian would never hopefully have to see. But PTSD isn't just about going to war, it's not just about veterans, it's not just about first responders.
Yeah.
What's your advice for people that think they may have some symptoms
Yeah.
of something like PTSD from a trauma
Yeah.
and don't feel like they're worthy of that help?
Yeah, absolutely. Reflection, and ask yourself the tough questions of, am I not living my best life? Do I have, pretty destructive coping mechanisms? Am I drinking, watching too much Netflix, can't actually find a purpose, can't live my best life? Is my body not in amazing shape? Do I have chronic stress, chronic, health conditions? Am I always sick? These can be the leading indicators of that we're actually carrying some kind of trauma. So by asking ourselves a tough question, by reflecting at our life, we can actually then, realise that we might actually have something that we need to look at. And, that's one of the reasons that we built the program alongside this book. So, Happiness Co is being kind enough to allow Thriving with PTSD to partner with them to launch this growth mindset community, to actually open up that space for people to basically, reflect on their own behaviours, to be part of some kind of growth mindset community that allows them to kind of move through some of their trauma. Yeah.
That's brilliant, man. So, a real war is to heal your heart. That's the tagline that's on the front of your brand new book.
Yeah.
What does that represent, that saying? Where did it come from? What does it mean to you?
Firstly, I'm just going to put this up here so
gratuitous
people
plug,
at home can see it. Yeah, I will get it out there. I think a big part of my journey is really been connecting back to my heart, and through war and through PTSD and through all this stimulation, fight or flight response, we're talking about an activation within the nervous system where the body is in survival. So whether that's from a car accident, whether that's from a veteran, whether that's from a sexual assault, this stimulation in the nervous system puts us into a fight or flight response. Joy, compassion, empathy, all these things are nice to have when you're in survival mode.
Sure.
So in that survival mode, I was so disconnected, and that's been a real part of that journey, is to really connect back into my heart, connect back to compassion, empathy, joy, love, and all of those things for myself and for other people. So, it's been really important for me to be to understand that, there are a lot of other men out there that are really struggling to have love for themselves, to have care for themselves, to be compassionate for themselves. We're showing the way that we're treating women in the modern world, just how much of a lack of respect we have for ourselves, because we're basically projecting that onto them as well.
100%.
And when we have a deep connection to our own heart, and we have a deep connection to ourselves, ultimately we're not going to have those levels of projection onto the women in our society around us. So it's quite important, that tagline.
It's a powerful set of words, and the way you've articulated it there is an incredible, I think, reflection of how much you would have grown over the time. Because could you imagine 10 years ago, Maddie, talking like you're talking today?
Absolutely not. It's been quite the journey, and I'm even just super grateful just to have the clear head that I have at the moment, to be able to give you what I'm talking to, have the behaviours, to not be drinking alcohol, to have an amazing diet, to have a great routine where I look after myself, and to be able to come and present today is, I'm so grateful for that opportunity. And I'm really grateful for anyone that's watching this video, and I'd just really like to say to anyone out there who thinks that they may have PTSD, or that they may know somebody that has PTSD, that this book has an amazing amount of insight into what all men who have trauma have gone through in their life. And remove the title of veteran and just come back to a male and their heart. That's what a lot of this book is about, because we're all just men, we all have a heart. And basically that book is, that's what's in this book, is to remove that title of veteran. Veteran is just one of those job roles of many that can have the same symptoms and the same life experience.
And also relevant for women as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've given this book to a number of women pre-launch, and they're like, oh my God, now I know I have insight into why my ex-partner treated me in that way.
Sure.
And there's not a woman out there in the world that doesn't want to know how a man feels and what they're thinking. And
we think women are complicated, but it's very much
exactly,
the same way.
And details about their emotions, and that's what this book specialises in, is the fact of it's like a roadmap or a blueprint of how a man can actually go from having no emotions to full spectrum of emotions and not having shame or guilt for those emotions.
When did you start writing?
So I first started in Uluru. I wrote like a couple of pages. And
when was this?
Well, this would be nearly 18 months ago, I
think.
Yeah,
so relatively quick turnaround for a book.
And so then I wrote a few pages, and then I wasn't sure if this was just my ego or something. Like, it just kept on coming into my life that I needed to write a book and thoughts, etc. And I was just like, look, I don't want to force this. And I was in Bali on a holiday, and I walked into a shop, and a lady said to me, I'm actually hearing stuff that you need to write a book, but there was no one in the shop. She was using her intuition or magic. And she's like literally telling me, you need to write this book. And I was like, okay, I'll write the book. So I went home.
Fine, I'll do it, random Bali lady.
Exactly. And so I went home to my computer a couple of days later, and I wrote like 60,000 words in 4 days.
Can I ask a question? I know that a lot of people out there will have their story to share.
Yeah.
What's your advice for someone who's sitting there thinking, far out, I need to write a book?
Yeah.
Because the concept of writing a book comes up all the time when you've got a collection of memories and maybe you've had a really tough life and you want to share that experience. What advice do you give to people on how they could start?
Follow your heart. Yeah. Don't overthink it. Trust it.
Where did you start this book, if you don't mind me asking? Like that moment you sat at Uluru, where does that appear in the chronology of the whole book? Or
I've really written this book from the heart. It kind of goes from the mind is not a part of this. It's really come from here, and the words have kind of flown into the computer, and then I've had to go on back and put it in some kind of logical order,
retrospective order.
Exactly, and then hand it over to the publisher, and it's really written in a different way, and. So I just say follow your heart, and writing a book is so much more than writing the book. It's the journey, it's the relationships, it's the everything in between that's the most important bit. The writing of the book is kind of this small percentage. That's like the 10% of everything that happens in between. It's the relationships, it's the conversations, it's all of those things in between, and that's the 90%. So don't look at the book as the be-all at the end-all. Look at the journey in between and have like a level of openness as to what magic can happen. And, I never thought when I joined the Happiness Co. that you would be such an amazing sponsor for this book. That was something that was way out of my mind.
So you can start with the roof and the foundations can come later, right?
Yeah, and, that's such the incredible... sponsorship that you've given me just today, and like doing this stream and using the email database. I just want to say thank you from me to some of the hard work that you and Julian have done. And that's some of the magic that we can call in when we write something from our heart and when we're just coming from a place of authenticity. Yeah,
I think that's the key, is if you come from that really... I mean, we live to impact, right? Our whole existence is to impact as many lives as we can in a short amount of time, and try and leave this world with some sort of legacy, right? Yeah. And I feel like that's the exact methodology that you had when you started writing the book, so it only makes sense to partner up. So you mentioned, we've spoken about the book, we've spoken about the journey to the book. What other things are complementing the book? How can people get involved, and where do they go to be a part of this whole journey?
Yeah, so you can head to thrivingwithptsd.com and you can get the book. You can also get access to our online course and meditations that are written specifically for people with PTSD.
Brilliant. And it all coincides with the book as well?
Yep. So it's all side by side. And then we also have the Thriving with PTSD growth mindset community, where then you can actually get access to the same content as well too. But the growth mindset community is that ability to give back, and it's been so amazing to see that we're already in our soft launch and we've already called in all of these other amazing people from around the country that have had PTSD, who are looking to step up into that role of being a coach or a facilitator. And we've already called in our ambassadors, as to say, our space holders.
Brilliant.
Of people that are looking to step up into the program as well too. So, the program is not just for people who are looking to heal themselves from PTSD, if you are somebody who has an amazing story, who's been through a journey, who's just looking to have a community to be of service, to give back to other people and to guide them on their journey, this is a call to action for you. We'd really love for you to come and be part of this community, to share your learnings, to have a space where we can kind of come together collectively and we can tackle PTSD on a national level. We're talking 12 million people, and the program is, priced at a really, really affordable level. You can even sponsor somebody in the program, and then we can tackle as many of these 12 million people as we can to try and change the national story of PTSD through this course and through that book.
I love that. And, we've done a lot of research in our time at Happiness Co and Happiness Aid, and even Happiness Aid itself, contemporary online platform, built on person-to-person support or peer-to-peer if you want to get technical, with lived experience integration. So it follows the exact same model that Happiness Co does. So if you're someone within the Happiness Co community that would like to join the Thriving with PTSD community, you are joining the same ecosystem. So be confident that you would have the same backing, the same support, the same framework, the same platform base. Everything is very similar, and that's why we're so proud to launch it. And I just hope that everyone who's watching this that either feels like they might be in that space, I think the best bit about this is you don't have to be in the red or the amber to approach this program.
Yeah.
Much like most of Happiness Co, it's about when you're in the green or the amber or the red, that we have a place for you and a space for you, and it's cost effective. And I know that that can come off as a weird thing to say about such a legacy-based situation, but at the end of the day, that's so much more cost-effective than going through what you may go through on your own as well. So,
agreed, brother. And I'd just like to say there's so much social proof out there at the moment, in the sense of we can see how big of a problem this is for the nation. Like, we got 20 minutes to half an hour on Perth's #1 radio station yesterday. Channel 7, full interview last night for an hour at my property. This launched, an opinion piece in the West. We can see that PTSD is quite a large problem across the nation, not just for veterans, for those 2/3 of people across the nation who are undiagnosed, that are living with some form of trauma, whether it just be a cyclist who's been knocked off their push bike, who's activated their nervous system and can't get back to the joy or the feelings or the emotional state that they once had, that ultimately this is a big problem. And we've been given all these amazing opportunities for us to be able to kind of help that. And 10 million lives in 10 years, mate, that's the goal, and we're really excited to be able to impact that.
Everything that Happiness Co does will come under the guise of the 10 million in 10 years, and that'll be launched really soon, which we're really excited about, but it's part of our ethos. You're helping us get there, mate, and I guess on behalf of everyone watching and everyone who's putting up comments and sending us some love, thank you for bringing the power to people again who are going through things that a lot of us don't understand. And you mentioned that there's a big appetite for it in the media. First of all, well done to all the media channels that got in touch and wanted to push this. I think the thing is, they saw an opportunity to bring someone in with expertise on something that we know about but don't understand, and a lot of people aren't brave enough to tackle it. So well done, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm really excited to be here, brother.
No, you're welcome, mate. Guys, make sure you stay abreast of everything that's happening on the Happiness Aid platform and, of course, through Happiness Co. Warriors War is available at the link in the caption right now. I think it's past pre-order now. We're ready to rock and roll, and you can be a part of the course. There's an online course, an online community, and some bonus content as well within that whole package, and it's just an incredible opportunity for you to change your life and or change someone around you's life. So, Matt Bruce, you're a good mate. You're a good man, and I can't wait to chat again. I'm sure we'll be back on this platform very, very shortly.
Thanks, mate. Thanks, guys. See you soon.
Have a great night.